Welcome back to Anime Savants, everyone. It's been a goddamn minute. And this week, I am the Netflix chopper that we haven't seen.
Oh man, I don't know. I think I have so many people I want to be. I would be Sukuna, but we're not there yet. I would also want to be Noel from Seven Spellblades, but that's a different story. I think I'm going to go back in time to a classic psychotic villain, Delandau, from Escaflowne, which will be part of my recommendation for the week, just based on a recommendation I gave to somebody else, and then I followed the recommendation myself and was pleasantly surprised. So I am Delandau from Escaflowne.
All right. So we're just going to hop back into stuff. There's a lot to cover, and we also have the fall season coming up. So we don't know how long this episode is gonna be, but we're gonna try to keep it moving as much as possible. But what do you want to? Oh, you know what? I will go ahead and start it on a very small note. And when I say small, I mean small fucking shorts that are way too short for this girl. And they literally are cashing the fuck in on Atelier Ryza. This is literally a ploy to get you motherfuckers to buy more shit to jerk off to. And I'm not even really mad at it because it's working. It's working. The clip compilations on TikTok of just like scenes of Ryza just being thighed out.
Thyza, yeah,
just
that's right.
Thighed out. Just thought out, I'm like, you know what? This is what they wanted in the end. And honestly, it wouldn't have even gotten this far if it weren't for the size. That game has funded a lot of stuff for that studio recently. And she's like the only one I think that's gotten 3 iterations. So I'm just gonna say, if you are intending on checking it out, just do not be surprised that while she is speaking to someone, the camera just literally pans down.
It's unbelievable.
And then but they're still talking.
Yeah, yes, it's a creative camera angle, but it's for one purpose.
And the crazy thing is, it doesn't even do the angle up where you see them talking from like an under. It just goes to the fucking thighs. I'm not mad at them. But I just have to bring it to the public's attention because I know a lot of people aren't even watching this show. But like shit's going on over there. It's going on over there. Yeah, okay, I started with that. So what have you been watching, James?
Oh, so many things. I guess we could hop into Mushoku Tensei because the last month has been a lot of like the meat of this school/academy storyline.
Yeah.
Folks who are familiar with the series probably knew what was gonna go down. I, as someone who didn't, read or wasn't spoiled at all, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this half of this, I don't know, 3/4 of the season.
Yeah.
Like, what are we getting to? Because it seems like it's built all around the will they, won't they, quasi-gay relationship building that's happening. And I didn't know that was, I thought we were going to, like, move more towards him in search of people, but he's sort of, no, he's trying to cure his ED.
He's chilling the fuck out.
Yeah, he's like, I want to get my dick hard, so that's why I'm at this academy, which is hard to, like, no pun intended, but it's kind of difficult or hard to overlook the, like, that's overtext. It's not even subtext. And,
because he's going around asking people, have you had problems with this?
Right, it's like an extended gag, and it is funny. So I'm not out here saying, like, oh, it's played up. Like, it's funny. I wonder if that's going to be the whole season, because the first quarter I felt was getting to something like emotionally complicated to deal with, especially him trying to regrow up alone, interacting with people who don't, we're not familiar with, he's not familiar with them, his trust issues. I was like, oh, I like this. And then we kind of go to the academy and I'm like, is this a joke? And sometimes it doesn't feel that way. There was an episode where they get the slave girl.
Bruh. Oh my God. Okay.
And I'm willing to always suspend my disbelief if you're selling me a fantasy world where the rules are just different. And it seems like the guy who Rudy was before he transferred over is still like has a present morality, and so tries to soften some of the hard edges, like trying to kind of do the right thing. But it played into another gag, which is was it Momonga or whatever his name, Momo, whatever
Yeah, Demon
his
Lord.
well,
Yeah.
like his apprentice in terms of like making the figures, like that became a
Oh,
major like plot point, in the story, to the point that it drove getting the little like dwarf. Was he a dwarf?
yeah, Juliet.
Yeah, getting
Yeah.
Julie, and like his rivalry with some of the other people in the class, which led to a very a scene I didn't care about, but a lot of people were like complaining that he just basically sexually assaults these women, and
Oh,
then
the Beast Girls.
yeah.
Yeah, that was very handled in a very nonchalant way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't care, but I could just see this sort of not playing well. Like, if you want to recommend the series, you often have to apologize for stuff like that
I
to,
feel
I would
like
say,
after a certain
normies.
point of watching the series, though, it's kind of just like they're operating on a different moral compass, and it
Yeah.
just is what the fuck it is. Like
Well,
that.
he
It
is
just
also operating on a very different moral compass, too. Like, it's
yeah.
very clear, like, he doesn't like certain things that happen in the world that would offend a human from a more realistic depiction of, our Earth, our
Yeah.
reality. And there's other times where it's like, oh, well, yeah, he's also a fantastic pervert in a style that isn't really written anymore. Obviously,
Hmm.
Mushoku Tensei is a much older series, but blatantly, just sexually assaulting women left and right and whatever. I think that's the part that for some people it's hard to handle. I didn't care because that's what the character is. It's sort of who we know him to
Hmm.
be. So to me, it was like, it wasn't our character. And frankly, that stuff is in there for the people who want to see that. So I'm not offended. But
Yeah.
so then we do that, and we're kind of at the point where identities are getting revealed, sort of, which is nice. It's pleasant. It's not
Basically,
moving me, but
I had asked my audience what not what they thought, because a whole bunch of motherfuckers, they love to watch reactions of this because they have all the thoughts in the world. But
hmm
I was just like asking my audience, I was like, it kind of feels like we're building up to something like crazy. And
hmm
the entire consensus was we absolutely are. Like this shit, every single bit that we're getting is building up towards the conclusion of the school arc. And they were like, the conclusion of the school arc is a conclusion. Like it's a turning point again. So just how he got his ass washed with Orsted at turning point two,
hmm
they were like, it's gonna be worse. And I was like, okay, all right, that's all you have to say. That's all you have to
yeah,
say. Um, as far as like my enjoyment of it, I feel like it's definitely giving us more slice of life-ish, wannabe
that's what it is.
rom-com. But
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. And you barely you like I see why people like it, but I don't do this. And so yeah, I can see why
I
it's not
dip
hitting.
into it a little bit. Like it, I think the core is that for a series that's taking its time, and it is taking its time, a lot of the growth from Rudy as the main character kind of happens, as you point out, at the beginning and end
Yeah.
of these cores, because they are kind of built around these like turning point moments. And so I think that I'll probably appreciate the season more in retrospect once we get to wherever the cut point is for
Mm-hmm.
this. Like, okay, I was like, oh, okay, they kind of gave us a lot of that because what is arriving at the end is so heavy. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm not offended by any of it.
Yeah.
I'm just noting, okay, here's where we are. I wonder where we're gonna get to by the end. But I enjoy it. I think also the animation and music is probably contending
The animation is
top
fucking
three,
insane.
top
I
three this season.
the dragon fight, I was like, what the fuck is it? Well, not even the dragon fight. The fight when he went to go save Sarah, when she was
Yeah.
captured by that tree thing, the dragon fight, even the moment when he like made the stone hype bullet for the demon lord dude. I'm like, bruh, like they really it's very obvious that like this studio literally is just only doing this show. Like this is all they do.
Oh,
When they
100%.
when they come together, they do this show, and then they all go back to their own like separate studios, whatever, blah blah blah. And then they're like, all right, we got another season coming up. Let's go ahead, blah blah blah. And it's just good. I'm not saying it's a Sakuga fest, but I am saying like when stuff goes down, it's just so enjoyable. It's so
Yeah,
enjoyable to watch. They are strict and consistent with the aesthetic.
I agree.
It's not like ufotable levels of like smoothness and da 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 da. They have their style. They're sticking to it very much so similarly to Ranking of Kings. Ranking of Kings, once you hit those first few episodes, you knew what you were gonna get. They never veered outside of that art style.
Right.
So yeah, like I'm pleased with it. I know it's gonna do something crazy. There are things, and this is something that I was gonna bring up anyway. So if you haven't watched this most recent week's episode, you go watch that. But the whole thing with I heard and I was informed, I was actually really impressed with how he dealt with the gayness in this episode or his like possible bisexuality. Because
Right.
one thing is, as far as like anime standards, Fritz is very androgynous. Like Fritz is definitely like an androgynous character type. That
Yes.
is for sure. Or maybe they're not androgynous, and I've just been exposed to too much of this shit. So like I'm just like the scale is just off by itself. But I could see how someone could be like, oh, they're cute. Oh, that's a guy. Oh, okay. And I actually really enjoyed how Rudy went through the thought process, although it was very fast. But I enjoyed how Rudy went through the thought process of it being like, it's a guy, but I do like him. So, like, what am I going to do about it? As opposed to lashing out at the person or being vehemently homophobic and just the repression. But I also think that goes along with his character arc because who's to say that the Rudy from before, like early on, would not have reacted like this? If or like especially before the disaster, the teleportation.
Hmm.
Who's to say that the Rudy before that would not have been like crazy, been like, oh, what the fuck? Oh, I can't believe this. Da, 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 da. So I really enjoyed that. Come to find out, he did not react like that in the web novel, and that he's very homophobic about it and all kinds of stuff like that. So, but there's a difference between the web novel and the light novel. When the light novel came out, they had changed that hyper homophobia part of it. So I'm happy for that, but I also still am kind of interested in the web novel and like just how it was perceived, how it was portrayed. And also I would like to know, or I'm going to be keeping that in the back of my mind as going forward, for maybe other instances where it might pop up. But this also isn't like a show that is being rewritten on the spot to adhere to modern day sensibilities. Because
Absolutely not.
if
There's
it
so many
were,
things.
if it were, we got a lot of problems. Just alone, Julie at 6 years old chugging a fucking stein of beer and no one at the table blinking because they're like, she's a
Hmm.
dwarf. Okay, but no, y'all didn't do any world building on dwarf body alcohol consumption and like
Right.
so maybe that was something that was done in the light novel that we didn't get now, et cetera, which I have been seeing a lot of people say that things are getting cut like nonstop. Like they're cutting this, they're cutting that. They have to. I completely get it. And they might come back around to it. They might not. But
Right.
overall, I have still I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a great time. And I just really wasn't expecting the level of Sakuga that we've gotten so far. And yeah, I'm expecting the end to be a shit show. I'm expecting Sarah Aries to show back up. I'm expecting Paul to get mixed up in this shit somehow. And Elena Lise is my favorite character of the series so far.
Yeah, I bet.
She's my favorite character of the series because she came onto the scene like, oh wow, like what is this? Who is she? And then when we got the explanation, I was like, okay, it all makes sense. But also, she is doing something for her own health. Like at first, I was like, oh, what is she doing this for? Learned there was a curse, but then also she learned how to deal with the men that she was using efficiently.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a
Yes.
bad bitch. Not only is she a bad bitch, but I was like, but that's a bad bitch like all around. She literally is like, I am letting you know that I'm using you. Do not expect any connection from me at all. You can have a connection, but I'm paying you to not have to stifle the feeling, to get the fuck out of my face. Because I know the
Mm-hmm.
pussy's yanking and you're never getting it again. Never getting it again. And I was just like, I love the character. I really, and you really don't expect that usually, or I don't really expect women in anime to have that level of like depth, especially when it comes to sex. I'm not used to seeing that. So I really
True.
love that.
True.
I loved it. I loved it. So yeah, Alina Lise, my favorite character. Boom. And she threw that shit in that nigga face this episode too, where she was just like, yeah, I'm with him because he has shown me that something that the rest of you niggas never did. So good luck to you, buddy. You'll never get it again.
That is
I loved
hilarious.
it. I loved it.
I
Yeah.
think I think I like her character because she is mature in all senses of the word. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a maturely written character. The character's characterization deals
Mm-hmm.
with mature themes. Is very unapologetic. I think that
I love
maybe
the
at the time,
unapologetic part.
maybe at the time that she was written, she would have stuck out more as being very outlandish. But in like 2023, in a lot of ways, she's probably more relatable to a
Yes.
lot of people, which is a very interesting just fact of history how things turn out.
But also that
Um,
goes into line with them not rewriting her just to basically be
right.
like, we're gonna put a powerful female woman in it now because blah 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 blah
Yeah,
blah.
sure. And that's a very interesting thing because when you go back and you watch or consume a lot of older media, a part of that task is putting yourself in the mindset of that period. Like what was a norm
Mm-hmm.
then versus what might have been subversive that's no longer subversive, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Something that would be subversive today, but at the time was very like non-controversial. So that's just it's like it's a perspective of the age of that. And some people don't give a shit. Some people just like watch it and they're like, oh, I think that's funny, and they move on. And
Yes.
that's also totally fine. But I like paying attention to it and some of the other themes. Like there's a lot of sexual assault in the series, and it's treated
Yeah.
very casually. And at the time, that was just considered fan service, right? Like that's really all it was. It was, and nobody, well, people thought twice about it, but from a cultural point of view, both among anime fans and then just Japan in general, like where it was getting produced, it was not really seen as anything to comment on. It's like, oh, okay, that's just something that happened in a story or
Yeah.
whatever else. Now that is a specific feature of a series like this that often has to be reacted to or at least explained a little bit more for a general audience. But for the people who've been rocking with the series from day one, I mean that's been par for the course since episode 2, right? Rudy
Yes.
watching his dad fuck the
Oh
maid.
yes.
Like there you go. That's what it is. There's also another interesting point too. You talk about like Fitz and Rudy and where they're at right now in their relationship versus like what are his intentions. He just wants to like cure his ED and then go and find his teacher, and God knows what happens after that.
Uh,
But
something clearly.
one thing that we've also established in the story is that in this culture, in this society, there seem to be a lot of people who are okay with men and women having multiple partners, people being married and still having other
Open
whatever
relationships.
open
Yeah.
relationships. Again, like these are all things that are a factor of the writing when it was written originally, but it translates actually in interesting ways like today. So I appreciate, I have a good time when I'm
Yeah.
watching Mushoku Tensei. I think art is on point, music is on point. It's probably among that sort of top 3 or 4 best produced series, which makes sense because
Absolutely.
this
Yes.
core got delayed for quality issues
Mm-hmm.
because obviously it was rushed, and so you can kind of see the care and attention that got put into the whole series. Is the front half is more action loaded, the back half is really, as you say, more slice of life, but there doesn't seem to be any difference in the actual quality of the animation or
Yeah.
anything else. So that's why I really appreciate what they're doing, even if sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing the gag episode where the whole thing is built around the destruction of a slightly lewd statue. Like, okay, I guess we're doing that, but that's what it's there for a reason. So I
Yeah.
ain't
Oh,
mad.
yeah. I know Julie is going to be important in the future in some form or fashion because um even though that episode was about the statue, a lot of people were definitely talking about it, especially light novel readers, because there was way more expansion upon like Rudy's thoughts on slavery and things of that nature. In the episode, he kind of just like walked in there and bought her and was just like, boom. And had that one moment of being like, I'll kill you if you want me to. Like, you know, if you're miserable and you don't want to do it, I'll kill you right here. Like, it won't be a thing. And that felt extremely out of place, but apparently it was built up to in a way better in the light novel than what we got it on. So yeah, you know, they can't do everything, but what they are doing, I'm still enjoying the shit out of. Outside of that, Pretty Cure it's not even the new girl. It's not the new girl. They're doing a compilation movie with like all 80 something of them bitches, and they're fight on the line of like Sakuga. They're fighting. I'm almost positive this movie is going to probably be like just like nonstop clips of just like unnecessary Sakuga, like the whole fucking movie. All of the trailers have just been boom, 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 like them doing all this kind of stuff. And I'm really glad that they're keeping with the theme, because the current season right now is the 20th anniversary. And this season has been all about not production as a whole, because there are certain areas that got way more production, and then there are other areas where it's kind of like, damn, they don't give a fuck about you. But as far as the fighting, the battles, and just like the action choreography, effects, all of that nature, they have not skimped a single fucking day on any of it. So this is the movie where they're like, this is where we're gonna get another like huge chunk of change from this franchise as a whole. And I just have to say that like the production that they've been doing, and just I think it's gonna be, not that I think it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good, but it's gonna be good for the fans. But I also think it's gonna be good as in it's gonna draw a lot of niggas' attentions, because they're gonna go all in on the fights. Like the fights are gonna be fucking crazy. So, and that movie comes out what, September 15th, so this Friday. So I'll give it maybe like November or so. That's when it'll probably hit the torrent scene and shit like that. After it hits the DVD Blu-ray, that's when you're gonna start seeing stuff from this. You're gonna be like, whoa, what?
Do you know who distributes that in the US? Pretty Cure
Nobody.
stuff. Nobody.
Nobody.
Because I was like, why don't I hear nothing?
Exactly. So what is going on? Crunchyroll is actually finally streaming it. And Crunchyroll occasionally will post a clip or two. They'll post either a fighting clip or they'll post a transformation. But they did really badly, because there were 2 seasons before, the Tropical Rouge one, where they were trying to garner attention to it. So they were posting whenever the girls had a transformation, and they kept getting the names wrong. And so you had
that's bad. That's not good.
All the people, all the Pretty Cure fans in the comments being like, bitch, we told you the last girl, it's this name, not that name, it's this name. And then for the final one, they got it right. But then people were like, oh, what is this? Blah, blah, because they don't post about it regularly. So, but I feel like that's part of their like social media team and things like that nature. And then there's also Netflix. Netflix has 2 of the seasons that are dubbed.
That's true. I have seen that on Netflix. That's why I was really interested.
Yeah, I forgot what they call it. But it's Smile Pretty Cure with the 5 girls. Well, no, both seasons that they do, it's like Doki Pretty Cure, which is like Doki Doki Pretty Cure, and then there's Smile Pretty Cure. Either way, I tried watching them on Netflix. The storyline, redo a whole bunch of stuff. They cut Sakuga from it. And I'm like, one of the main reasons why people watch this shit is because of the Sakuga. Like, people are here to see the girls be empowered and like rocket niggas. Like, I mean, that's what I like. I like cute shit. And I like the perceived power, like, oh, you're a little girl. And it's just like, she just punched your face into the pavement. Like, fuck yes. Right. Like, I love it. Give me some more of that shit. But they cut Sakuga scenes and all the kind of stuff. The voice acting, I don't know who was in charge of the dub production, but after that second part, they were like, cut it, and now it's only on Crunchyroll, just subbed. But as far as distribution, they are doing nothing, because Toei is making hand over foot with the transformation devices, when the sixth ranger comes out and they have a completely different transformation device, or like the plushies of the little mascots. They're like they got that stuff rolling in money over there, and you got a whole bunch of shows over here, but it's kind of just like it's not even like that. Like I definitely remember coming up with Power Rangers, and I'd be like, I'd see the new Megazord, and I'd be like, we gotta go to Toys R Us
Facts.
now,
Facts.
now we gotta
Big
go.
facts.
We have to go. Like it's gonna be sold out. Them other niggas are gonna
And
get
you know
it.
you would get there, and it's the worst one that's left.
No,
It's the
I
worst
hated
one.
when they started split. Like when they did the Megazords where you could buy the whole all the parts as one. I was like, that's what I need. But when you would get there and you would the only like the individual Megazords would be left, they would still combine, but you'd always be missing that one fucking thing. You could
That's
miss the
right.
torso, or you be missing one arm. I'd be like, yo, I told you we had to
I will
go.
keep it a buck with you, okay?
Ugh.
The reason why I couldn't get into Power Rangers just from a toy collecting point of view when I was a kid, because every time I go to Toys R Us, I will tell you which Rangers were always there, or which Zords were always there, and which were not.
Pink and yellow.
Listen. If you could always find yourself a Blue Ranger, you could always find yourself a Yellow Ranger. Heck, you know what? You had a good shot of finding a Pink Ranger. But you know what you were never gonna find? A
Red.
red and black, and especially black. You were
No.
never gonna find yourself a Black Ranger.
Unless there was a white one.
How.
If
Yes,
there's
right.
a white one or whoever was the mid-season ranger, you wasn't gonna find them niggas.
Oh, and please believe Green Ranger was done. It was a wrap. Please believe that. You are not getting the Dragon Zord. You are not getting the White Tiger Zord.
That was the fucking flute. A nigga on my block had the fucking flute.
Forget it.
Oh, niggas was we were like yo, don't he not gonna come play today. Nah, don't be mean to him.
Forget it.
The goal of the whole neighborhood was to get that nigga to bring the flute out because no one could get it. That's how serious it was. And I'm like, y'all could have the same shit. Like y'all could just order that shit off Amazon. But for them to get the stuff, the pretty cure kind of things, you have to get that shit imported. And things of that nature. But the quality of the toys are good, apparently. So, but they also have way more regulations over there with that kind of stuff, especially when it comes to children and those things.
I knew one nigga who had the red, the black, and the white. And my God, I put up with a lot to be friends with that white guy. Let me tell you right now, I put up with a lot just so that I could get over the house and play with them for one time.
That's all. You just need one session sometimes, and it's over. But having them, I don't know. Like I feel like they're not really doing a good job at recreating that feeling, or maybe it's just because everybody like kids are more so like tech nowadays.
Sure.
So maybe it's like less so like
well, there's not this idea of like chase toys. What you will see is like the gacha games become sort of a proxy for that like rarity chasing.
Speaking of gacha games, nigga,
let's go.
We're done with Pretty Cure. The Tower of God gacha game came to global, and it's not that bad.
Okay,
it's not that bad. They are very first of all, they're very generous with re-rolling. It does not take you any time to re-roll.
Oh.
And the most powerful character in the game is Yuri's assistant, the dwarf, the silver dwarf.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he's the most powerful. He's the most powerful, and also like it's so good. Like they have so many characters. Like they have so many characters.
Of course, huge. It's a huge cast in Dragon. Humongous.
They have so many characters, and then they're already doing the thing where like with the main characters, they're having them in like different outfits with different powers. So you have Bond, who's like you got the regular Bond, you got Bond. They haven't even brought Jewel out yet. So I mean Viol. So I was like, just wait till that nigga shows up. He's gonna be crazy. But of course there's like a little like original storyline, but also all the character profiles are giving you information on even like the super duper small characters. So like I'm gonna be honest, I played the game for like a week or two, and I logged back on just to like do the gotcha thing to get new niggas, just so I can read their profiles and get refreshers. I think it does.
That's so interesting, because there's a lot of like supplementary lore material that is out there for Tower of God, but it's not in English. It's in Korean.
Yeah.
And so to me, like I don't like I'm as much of a grinder as anyone else on these like wiki pages trying to figure out what's going on. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so I was
So
like,
I'm
yo,
into it.
this is actually not that bad. It's having kind of like a quick notes, kind of like a cliff note kind of thing for like characters to be like, who is this nigga? And you go through, you find him, you're like, oh, I remember you. Oh yeah, you're dead. You got killed
Right.
at this
And we're
time. Yeah.
getting season 2 end of next year, right? Is that the?
I haven't heard a single thing. They said
I think
2024 though, right?
yeah, they
Yeah,
did.
I'm
So I
not
think it would
expecting
probably.
January because they would have been pronounced or it should
No,
have
no.
been.
If they were running like not winter but like spring 2024, we would already have like a teaser out. Usually
Oh,
they
okay.
run it about 6 months ahead. I mean that's if they're on schedule. They'll run the
I don't think they're
teaser
gonna
six
be
months
on
ahead,
schedule.
and they'll tell you know what it'll usually be. It'll be like a Seiyu casting. That's usually like
Okay.
the first kind of information that they'll get out there.
This
You
season
know.
is going to define so much shit because it's literally the point where it just blows the fuck up. Like if
Yep.
we get to workshop, it's like they cannot fuck up. They can't like the director has to be flawless. Like he has to
Fair.
it's gonna be really fucking hard. It's just
There's a
gonna be
specific
hard.
scene with Kun and Rachel that
That's supposed to lead, but
right.
where are they gonna put it?
That's what I'm curious about. I'm
Yeah.
curious.
See, I think
Yeah.
this is one of the only series where I'm excited to watch the anime after reading because
Because
there's so
it's
much
a
shit that they
it's
could do.
there's a lot they could do. It's a unique experience. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, the art style." I'm like, I actually find
The
what
art
their
style
approach
for
was
what?
for
For the
for
anime?
remember when the anime got teased. Obviously, folks who
Yeah.
then saw it later on were like, "Oh, okay, this is good." But like that art style is so close to the sort of I guess the back half of because you know the art style changed up and got better
Yeah,
over the
yeah,
course
yeah,
of
yeah,
Tower of God.
yeah.
So they've managed to find something that could be animated that definitely looked like more like the latter.
The
Yeah, the
manhwa, yeah.
manhwa, but the back, but like the what it's doing now, like
Yeah.
really high quality, good
Yeah.
looking shit.
Because when I started it, I was like, oh, this is
That's
not
what everybody said. You know, it's
yeah.
fair. It's a fair
Yeah.
complaint, but like
But
you know, it's a
you're supposed to stick it out. You're supposed to
right.
do it.
Yeah, just do it. And I think that that's a nice little benefit of the animated project is that if you were someone who really loved the story, but you're like, man, getting through like the prequel, like, and what, you know, the production there, and the anime is actually such an improvement over what you saw. It's rare because, you know, a lot of manga get pushed because the art style in the manga was so iconic and beautiful that there are questions about, oh, is it getting downgraded going to anime, or what are they going to do to make it animatable
To be
in a
honest,
cheap way?
I
Yeah.
thought the anime did Dorsey in the prologue much better than the manhwa. But that's just me
Yes.
personally. I know people were saying that they cut a lot of interactions between Bomb and then
Yes,
Dorsey.
that they did do, but I'm saying visually and also
Yeah.
I don't know the right way to say this, but like after watching the anime, I felt like I got a better feel for like physically how her character moves around and presents herself.
Because the it's voice acting, like it just
Yeah,
add a completely different layer, and then you have the voice inflections. And to be honest, I just really don't understand a lot of people and why they watch certain things because how could you watch that series and not even fall in love with Kevin Penkin's music? Like,
I don't know.
what the
That's
fuck were you
crazy.
even doing? Were you watching? Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I know they're watching for action. They're not watching for a show. They're watching to be like when these niggas gonna fight. That's what they're watching for.
Yeah, true.
So
But you know the
yeah,
irony is that in the first season there are a lot of tests where a lot of things happen, but there's only like two like one on one the
Yeah,
battles.
it's
Yeah.
like a
And really
tournament.
only
As
and if you're really gonna be
yeah,
serious about it, it's really only one major one. It's Anak and Dorsey versus that member of the whatever the family that came down, the one who has like the hood on, you can't see his face, and he's like summoning all of the
yes,
so that's the
yes.
only actual like sustained because it lasts like an entire episode. There's like a back and forth. Eventually, you know what happens. But like, I don't know. It's just I'm excited, but I'm trying to temper my excitement because I have no idea how far they're gonna get, and I want 24 episodes. I want it. It deserves it.
Oh my god, here
Not
we
gonna
go
get
again. What did we just get through with doing this with?
it. You're
What did
not
we?
gonna get it.
Wait, which for Mercury? Please don't do this. Please don't do this. Split it up. Split it up. I don't care. Split it
Yes,
up.
I agree with you.
Split
Yes,
it
split it
up.
up, but tell us when it's coming.
Yes. Okay.
Schedule it.
Say what's gonna call it? Give us fall 2024, summer 2025. Or
Yes.
fall 2025. I don't give a fuck. Just tell us. Split it
Yeah.
up. If it's
Yeah, I
if they're
agree.
having problems, just fucking communicate. See, this is why so many relationships fail, because niggas don't know how to communicate in all areas of life.
Communication is such a problem.
Literally all you gotta look at Larian Studios and you and your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Like, what are they doing different? They're
Yeah, yeah,
talking. They're letting niggas
yeah.
know, hey, we didn't even know this existed. We're gonna work on this problem right now. Just let us know. Just let us know. Um, Speaking of things that I was not expecting to fucking love, and now I'm so fucking excited because this is how stuff should be from now on. And I don't know why a lot of video games don't do it, especially Japanese video games anymore. But have you seen the opening movie for the Star Ocean 2 remake?
No, well,
It
I know it exists. I've seen stills. I've not seen the whole video.
Nigga, it's literally like prime anime opening for a video game. Like from the whole the for like they do the standoff between all the villains and the entire cast
Oh, that's so cute. I like
of the
that.
so
Yeah.
like the entire cast are like on a branch down here, and the what is it, the 10 wise men? I never played the game, but I found out their names. And the 10 wise men are like looking down on them, and then all of a sudden you just see the 10, there's like a flash, and the 10 wise men disappear into like lasers like moving so fast, and then niggas just start fighting. And I'm
Oh,
like,
that's cute.
this is how you build hype. And now I'm like, well, I'm buying that game regardless. Like,
Well,
because I
Second
want to do
Story
that.
is my favorite Star Ocean game.
I've heard
Like,
there's multiple endings, right?
yes, there's a bunch of endings and there's a
Yeah.
bunch of missable
And I heard
like characters
there's a
and weapons and
sequel on Game Boy, original Game
yes,
Boy.
there is. It's not great.
Yeah, I didn't
Uh,
hear it was good, but I heard there was like two
it's
years
not.
later or some shit.
But I love the style that they've gone for with the game, where it's like nice looking, relatively like low poly rendered CG,
Mm-hmm.
like sorry, rendered backgrounds, and then the pixelated but updated
Character models.
character models and high quality like art for like the facial stuff because the original Star Ocean had that only it was pre-rendered CG. So
Mm-hmm.
you go to like a town and it would just be like all the buildings, everything else were pre-rendered, but the
Yeah.
characters were that like pixelated look, and they did a lot with like zooming in and then pulling back out and all the kinds of like things to make it feel like there was a 3D camera, but there was no 3D camera. The battle system I think is also one of the most, at least for me, was the most fun of the Star Ocean games, just because if you played the original, it was one of the first games where like doing stuff gave you experience in the thing that you were doing. Now, obviously, they've taken that, and that's a staple of Star Ocean in general. But like at the
Yeah.
time, it felt like super revolutionary, almost like, and it
Uh,
rewarded you for being a grindy motherfucker on everything. The fact that there were missable characters, but those characters came along with like major storyline implications. Like I can tell you right now, I never got Ashton. Ashton is like this character with like snakes kind of growing
oh, the
out of
dual
his shoulder.
wielder.
I
Yeah.
never got him because the alternative to Ashton was like another girl to add to the harem, baby. So I never. So like I kind of want to maybe go down that route if they have split it up in that way. I also didn't play. Was it Lena or whatever the girl? I was always
Rita.
Claude. Rena,
Or
yeah.
yeah.
I was always Claude Kenny, man. That's the OG. I don't give a fuck what anybody's. All these other motherfuckers are pretenders. Okay, his outfit was sick. Like the opening, the fact that you could, okay, so this is a not like a spoiler, but it's like one of like the broken
I'm gonna
secrets
play
from
it
the game.
regardless. I don't matter. It don't
You
matter.
could. There's a part where you are able to temporarily teleport back to the original. It's early in the game, or like relatively early in the game, but based on some story stuff, the ship you were on, you get teleported like off of it, and then that's how you get separated. But there's a part in the game where you can actually get on back on the ship for a brief amount of time, and then if you would put time into like the steal skill, the pickpocket skill, you could steal weapons and items that were, because this is like a archaic planet, you could steal like super powerful weapons
and use them for your playthrough.
Yeah, that basically made you invincible for the rest of the game. Like things like that. I know they're little and it's like nothing today, but like when you're, I don't know, 12, 13 years old and you're like, bro, wait, what? I could break the whole game wide open by using things.
And that's when, was game FAQs around back then?
It was, yeah, back in the day. Yo, listen, you knew also that an RPG was about to give you your money's worth when you went on game FAQs and that shit would be like a megabyte and it would be like billion, like, yeah, the threads would be like popping. The actual FAQs would be like many kilobytes, hundreds of kilobytes. It's like, all the content, all the secrets.
I can't even lie. RPGs are one of the main ways where I learned how to read. Because my dad got them for me. My dad got me Final Fantasy 9, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck this shit is. I was like, I thought I could just walk around and kill shit. But there was like a story, and then my cousins played 10. Wait, no. Okay, I knew how to read by then. But I distinctly remember like trying to get through Final Fantasy 9, and I was like, I don't know how to do it. I found out where Game FAQs was. And I went to Game FAQs and I just like started reading a FAQ because I was just like, I don't know how to play this game. Like this is my first it was my first strict RPG outside of Pokemon.
Like a narratively driven game where you had to like do a lot of
because Pokemon, you can fuck around and you can figure shit out.
Absolutely.
Because the path is very linear. That Final Fantasy, it was kind of just like if you did not read what he just said sometimes, or like you do not know, like you need to go here, you go there, blah blah. Nigga, I don't even know that that's an entryway over there, or like blah blah blah, or this like that. So playing RPGs was one of the way I learned how to fucking read and game FAQs. When I was like, I have a question, let me put it in the search bar, and I'll be like, okay. And I'm reading all this shit from all these high schoolers and college people being like, you gotta go do this shit.
Bro, you go to those things. You saw that ASCII art, or someone had remade like the logo, and you were like, yo, this is about to be. You knew the quality was. Versus you're like, you knew.
Yes. And honestly, to this day, you can still go find some pretty decent guides on there.
Oh, they're awesome. It's so great.
Straightforward, just like, I need to know this. Or
game facts boards were also like, for some people, of like an early way of getting involved in like BBS communities, like those bulletin board stuff. Like, because, that had obviously predated a lot of the modern internet. Was like, most people used to like just... You would join boards, and then that's how you knew people. And like GameFAQs, like connected a lot of gamers together. I think that was something that is underrated. Like now, you think back, it's like, oh, that's how I learned how to play some games. But I know people who kind of like a little bit younger than me, but when they got into it, they were there for the boards. They weren't even really there for like necessarily the FAQs.
You know what? That makes sense because the MMO boards on Game FAQs was like, oh, this dude is known for this, or here he is, he's about to come.
Yeah, exactly. There would be you'd have like status almost in those places. That shit was cool. Yeah. Well, that's a good reminder. I guess we should talk about a couple other shows. Just run them down. Bleach doing his thing. It's one of my favorite parts of the Blood War arc because this is where like you get all the confrontations, the different matchups. The Kenpachi bit
is this is the part that I've been waiting to hear from you for. So what's going on? Are we getting more?
So so
are we getting tidbits or are we getting chunks? Or
there's good news and there's bad news on that front. The good news is that there are extended fights and extended scenes with some of the sort of B characters that may have only gotten like 3 or 4 pages. Yes. In some cases, they're given a lot more to do. Specifically, I think a lot of the stuff with the Bambis, there's more interaction that's there. Some of which I only know what's been said because I personally do not remember every single like line of dialogue or whatever else. But apparently there has been some like changes and additions as far as like conversations in the lead up to for example, in the lead up to the Kenpachi fight, there are some scenes that they existed in the manga, but they were shorter and you might not have been able to see like a reaction shot in frame. Like when Yachiro first goes up against, what is his name? The guy that Kenpachi fights that can, imagine shit. There are parts of it where in the manga, you either don't see him reacting to things or you don't see Yachiro because you might only get the attack in the frame. And so they've sort of widened some of these angles and included some more details. The The rub of that though is that there have been some like conversations that are either cut short or completely eliminated, and that's just a function of they are still moving at that same pace of about 2.5 chapters per episode. I had hoped maybe that when we got to the second Serite invasion, that they would slow everything down, but because that would give you a lot of space to maybe add some new shit.
Yeah.
They don't. But the flip side is that this is not the previous, production for Bleach. So everything you're getting looks amazing.
I've been seeing it. Yeah. Yeah.
And specifically, I guess, episode 9. This is
I like
where
the Bambi's little transformation scene.
Giselle, Joelle, the zombie, this section where you get like zombie Hitsugaya just showed up, but like all of her interactions and all the various interactions between all the Bambis, I think if people were only knew of them from their designs, they were already a popular introduction. What they got in the last like 3 episodes where they're like engaged in fighting and having matchups and everything else, I think cements them as like a fan favorite villain team. And the fact that, I don't want to give anything. Well, I mean, what am I talking about? Bleach is old. The fact that a few of them survive, is a good thing for the series, especially with this Hell arc coming up. Because one of the things that Bleach always does is that they always bring them back. Because we got the
Mr. Jaw.
Right, we got the Arrancar showing up in this fight and doing cool stuff. And I think more than any other set of characters, they get to have the most fun interactions until they're sort of like, pushed off the stage for the main stuff that's happening. Like they have a lot of fun. Mayuri is getting his shine on because him versus Giselle is like a good. And they love matching him up with like all of the diabolical, scientist characters or manipulative characters.
Just how twisted niggas can get.
Right. He's like one of those characters I think has a kind of plot armor inside of Bleach that I appreciate.
But I've always loved all of his instances, and just like even his like plot when he's like talking off, I'm just like, all right, of course.
Yeah, in the what do you call it, the Hecamundo arc, where he poisons that nigga, and he's like, "You're gonna experience your death for 1,000 years." And I'm like, "Yo, fucking suck. I can't even imagine what that is. Like, that's insane, bro. Why you gotta be like this?" And the
Japanese voice actor is so good. He's so good.
Oh my god, yeah. The voice acting is great. Animation is like, there are very few money-saving tricks that are being used.
Okay.
Very, 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 very few. Okay. And I'm not even somebody who like picks on that as like a problem. Just like how, you have your favorite HBO prestige TV series and you'll be enjoying it, and then they'll get to like what they call like box episodes where they just take your main character and they just shove them in a box. Literally, they'll be in like some confined space. Those are good narratively because they force it's a money saver. It's like, we're not going to pay for a location. We're not going to have to pay for a bunch of special effects. We're not going to have to pay for a bunch of extras. We can just film this like on a lot in a warehouse and then you get to like be with the character but not have them do a lot of stuff. I remember I used to watch Supernatural like just to pass the time, and Supernatural is like I'm not saying it's like the greatest show ever, but if you ever want to like, if you're a TV film producer and you want to learn like all the tricks for how you can do a lot on like no budget to like save money for your project, Supernatural does all of it, and they do a fantastic job of like making it still engaging. So like, I'm not against money saving. I think money saving drives creativity. Here in Bleach, they just say, fuck it. We're throwing the money at the wall. Like, let's go.
All the money they've got, they should.
Unfortunately, I wish, and also kind of appreciate it's not true, but I do kind of wish sometimes that these series that are attached to these like money vacuums would actually just get the full budget of the money vacuum and not what was set aside for the project. Because I do think that in a way that's limiting. And it doesn't need to be. We talked endlessly about how like Dragon Ball is a prime example of where you probably can afford to be really wasteful on like a decadent. And you will
make that money back because of how good it is.
Like, how many times have you seen like in Hollywood movies, just because of the way they're funded, right? Like occasionally a director will just get their vanity project where they can spend like ungodly amounts of money on a thing that they just want to do it. Like Oppenheimer this year. Like if you really, I love the movie. I don't know if you saw it, but like
Yeah, I
even
didn't
if
see
you were
that.
not a fan, it's very obvious that like Christopher Nolan wanted to make like his vision was, I have got this boring ass movie, but I'm going to shoot that shit on IMAX film. Half the movie's going to be in black and white. We're going to rebuild all the original locations. Like, it's just a dumb, expensive, like, approach to making a film that you probably could have shot almost like a documentary. But, like, no, we're going to spend $300 million on it because I can. And I feel like sometimes, especially in, like, anime and animation broadly, I wish there was a little bit less of a like this penny pinching mentality. So Bleach is in that category, I think, where they're going all out. I know that in the
Yeah.
first core there definitely were tricks that were being used to stretch a budget, and it kind of makes sense because you saw the end of the first core with the what's it head captain. Why am I always forgetting names? But like, you know, the him versus Yua, like that last that
Oh,
2.5
yeah.
episodes.
Yeah.
Like, man, that's why they were doing like shot reverse shot from weird angles in Ichigo's bedroom with him and the main cast feeling like the OG
I
Bleach.
remember when we were talking about it on that first episode. We were like, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing it because they have a big budget item at the end of the season. This season or this core, it's like, bro, fuck it. We're just gonna do it. Like random a Roncar showing up doing like love beams and shit gets the same level of treatment as, you know, Kenpachi cutting a moon in half.
Renji just blah, moving the thing.
Right,
Yeah.
they're just going balls out. So I appreciate that. So they're doing their thing. If you are a Bleach fan, don't sleep on it. Just go watch it. This is what you were basically begging for like 10 years ago. And it's probably done better today than it would have been done back then. But,
Oh
you
God.
know, yeah.
Oh, this would have been
That
so bad if it was like the original
I
stuff.
know.
Oh
Yeah, I
man.
know.
Yeah.
Because the inclination would have been a cheap out, and like that never works out well. I don't know why
No.
Super did it. I don't know why a
And
lot of these other series
they
do
would have
it.
had to they would have had to done another filler arc just before
Oh
it,
my God.
just to make sure.
It's so annoying.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing, well, two other things. So I watched Seven Spellblades up to
Mm-hmm.
I think episode 10 is the latest episode.
Yeah.
In the when we first talked about it at the beginning of the season, I kind of said like, "Wow, I'm intrigued by this series because they've set up a lot of stuff and they're approaching the show, production, writing, in a way that is very appealing. It feels unique, even though in fact it's just a collection of ideas from other more popular like genres. I can now say
Yeah.
like 10 episodes deep, it's its own thing, and it's actually just good. So when we started talking about, I called it like deranged Hogwarts or like sociopathic Hogwarts, and
Yeah.
that is still absolutely true. What I've come to appreciate is number one, the score. The score does so much for this series
Oh,
because
I
they
think this
found
might
a
be the
way
first
to
time you
blend.
said something about the music.
Yeah, if you ever just listen to like any of the ambient tracks that they use, there's a lot of like violins and bells and things that kind of they make you feel like, yes, I know this setting. This is the magical high school setting from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's very evocative. All the tracks are big, as in like they sound large in your ears. Like there's a big space. It's occupying a lot of space. They continually, on like every 2 episodes, they kind of move the cast into learn a new thing about this world, this wizarding world that they live in, and specifically the academy. So as you meet the other teachers and explore more of the grounds and meet more weird characters, it really does actually feel like a magical high school. But then there's always the hint
Something.
of murder and death. Because, in fact, though we don't see it as very often in the show, there's a few times it happens. Lots of students are apparently constantly dying. Or in the previous years, lots of students died. And everyone treats this
But
as
then
just like
they
a...
announced that like on arrival though, didn't they? They were
Right.
like people be dying, like it's a
Right,
regular
and
thing.
it's a but the threat of death. I mean, we now know who our core cast is, so it's not going to be one of those. It is not one of those shows where like, oh, we're going to kill members of the main cast until whatever just to amp up the I don't know, the sense of dread. It's
Yeah.
not that. The main cast is safe, but the supporting cast is constantly reminding the viewer that this is a fucked up school full of fucked up people doing fucked up shit. I think there's only like one time they've gone to a class where like the very first thing that the professor put the students through wasn't like a murder game, essentially. There's one where he's like, oh, this is the magical history and theory class, and he's like, hey, you can think of it kind of like magical architecture. You're like, oh, okay, cool, we're gonna learn it. No, the first test is you have to disassemble like some magical object, and if you don't do it in under 59 minutes, it's going to kill you.
Oh, that was beyond the animal.
Yes,
shit.
The other one was very similar, where it was like, oh, you have to use the right amount of magic to undo the cocoon, and if you do it wrong, it turns black. The thing will try to fucking murder you. And the professor's like, I ain't trying to help. Y'all are it's up to you. So that is a thing, but I think that they've had sort of like 3 experiences like that. But they really do. We got like the broomstick moment where it's like, oh, the broom isn't actually a broom and you don't actually fly it. It's actually a living creature. Like they introduced you this whole idea of like magical fauna, which are just like any kind of fantastical creature that forms or exists on the ambient magic in the world. So anything that you would remember, like imagine it's like
do they have wands? No, they have swords.
Don't. They have swords instead. But the reason they gave made a lot of sense. They said, yes, you could use any kind of thing to channel your magic. Wizards found out real quick that they could just get murdered by someone who was good with a sword. They're sort of like chanting shit, and nigga just runs up and stabs you, and then you're dead. So they're like, yeah, that's never going to happen again. So we do everything with a sword. It's basically, you channel your magic with a sword, and you have to learn how to fight with a sword, otherwise you will die. Which is like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. And they do little things like that over the course of the story to try to ground what they're doing in its own logic. So there are not things that are happening that exist outside of the boundaries of what you have been taught is possible in this world in very specific ways. It isn't yet clear if there's like a obvious power system, and I think they're leaving it loose so that they can have more flexibility. But we got a good 2v1 fight that actually involved a lot of magical logic and like feats of characters overcoming shit. We got a crazy 1v1 with the main character finally in episode 6. I will just say this straight up. The only thing I wish that they had done differently with this show is not bury the lead as to what the main story was for half the season. If they had kind of taken the what had happened in episode 6 and basically shoved it to basically the end of episode 1 or the beginning of episode 2, I think the reception for the series would have been a lot better, and there would have been a lot more excitement about it, because it takes 6 episodes for us to find out that, in fact, yes, our main character, Noel, is at the academy to murder every single main professor and the headmaster. So that was sort of, we could intuit that may have been, but they were always like, oh, he meets one character who's helping him. And it's like very vague conversation. You're like, okay, well, what's going on? And then when you actually see him like fight, it's not obvious that he's this overpowered anything. He's not necessarily, I mean, he is holding himself back and he is very clearly talented, but they make a point in the series for everyone around him to remark that like, you're actually like not really a super like, talented person. And he struggles a lot. Well, he knows a lot, and
I thought he had been to war, or maybe they were keeping his past.
They kept his past. I guess that maybe that was what was going on. No, do we want to talk about it since we're reviewing? I mean,
no, let's do it at the very end.
Okay,
give me a week. Give me one more week.
Okay, so what we learned is actually when you see him struggling on camera or in the show, he's actually struggling. It's not. It's not that like, oh, he's totally holding back. He's like, I'm only using 1% of my power. No, for the most part, like he is trying to keep cover. He does have some abilities that we will learn about later on, or have learned about as the series has gone on. As like, oh, okay, I get why he could accomplish the goal that he has. And the goal is actually, it's once they get through episode 6, it is crystal clear what is happening. You have a lot of stuff to look forward to. But before that and around that, when you see him like he fights with somebody and he kind of like he got his ass whooped in like one episode, like actually like just someone beat him up, and eventually he overcomes that challenge. But you understand why that first shit happened, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm so happy that they made that this is not just a pure power fantasy. Like there's things he doesn't know. There's challenges he's genuinely worried about, afraid of, planning around, and if they ever become part of the story, he will have to think of some way to get around it that isn't just brute forcing through it, even though he has
Yeah.
he has some tools. So that's the main character. I think they've settled my concerns from the first 3 episodes about what's going on with him and whatever. However, the other thing I like about this series is that there is a second main character. It's a dude, was it
Yeah.
Dragonist?
The girl, right?
Yeah, Nanao is almost exclusively a classical shonen main character. That is what she is. She is naive and hopeful about the world, has a secret ability that isn't so secret that basically is unbeatable, and she powers up through instinct and intuition. She wears her heart on her sleeve, so she's very emotionally open. She has a mysterious past that we don't know about. And then in the context of the way the stories are structured, she is the goal that most of the other characters are trying to aspire to be. It's not Noel, the actual main character, who we actually get his inner thoughts. We do not get a lot of Nanao's inner thoughts. We only get them as observations from other characters. Oh, she must have been thinking this, and that's what allowed her to do or know that. But you never get her inner monologue. You only get Nanao. So it's almost like you're watching the main character of another show that got transported into this one and is now doing the main character thing in front of our real main character, which is a cool dynamic. It's like it balances out some of the darker themes and attitudes.
Yeah.
And she gets a lot of screen time, and she actually has agency. She has problems that she is continually striving to overcome. She makes incremental progress. She has rivals. She has all the stuff that you would normally associate with like a typical MC. It's just she's not the MC. So that is great because you have a bunch of women now in the show that all have things to do that have nothing to do with our main character, our point of view into the world, which I always complain about is like, you're going to make accessories, human accessories in these stories, give them something interesting and important to do. You must do this. There is no way around that. Mushoku Tensei accomplishes that, and that's why I like the show. It's because everybody has something to do. And when they don't have anything to do, they leave. Right? They just get the fuck
in
out
droves.
of there. Yep, they either kill them off or they run away or whatever.
Yeah.
So all that put together over the last like 9 or 10 episodes, cast has gotten big, it's colorful, the music is good, the story has a lot going on. There's now like a very definitive structure to like what the future is. We've introduced all of the main villains. It literally in like the favorite anime trope, comic trope of like the round table of all the niggas our main character has to murder. Like, it's great. They all have very distinct personalities and abilities. We have a grounding for why he is doing what he's doing. His plan actually makes sense because there's a lot of people kind of supporting him in the background, that now it's like, oh, how could this weak ass motherfucker go to this school and feasibly probably kill the 7 most powerful, spell users in the world? Well, now there's a reason why that could actually work out. And then now what they're doing towards the end of the season is they're revealing the fact that a lot of the friends that he's made also have direct ties to the people he has to kill. And some of those ties are not negative. Some of them are like they're family members that they love,
Ooh.
Right, and that they see a different face, and there was like it's the whole thing.
So
like,
there are conflicts for the future brewing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, one
like,
thing that I saw about this show when it first dropped is like so many people that were familiar with the source material were saying, where's the darkness? It's supposed to be much darker than this. This is too vibrant, blah, 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 blah. And some other people were saying, we need to wait and see because there's no way they're going to make this a happy slappy.
Episode 6 opens with a 1v1 encounter that ends in gruesome dismemberment and torture until death by execution.
Okay.
So that's what I mean. Like, that stuff is absolutely there.
Yeah.
But it's in the middle of the season when you really get a good. I mean, there is some deranged shit that happens before as well. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's very explicit, and that sets a very clear tone and structure of alternating between like what's happening among the kids at the academy and then what's the subplot that our main character is kind of slowly walking towards.
Mm-hmm.
But then they intersperse that with genuine moments of character development and growth that feel way more organic. Like, there was a show, I want to say last year, where it was like Ninja High School. I forget the name. But it was like the idea that these ninja clans were actually running all these convenience chains.
You said you watched that one, yeah.
And it's fine. That show was perfectly fine. And there's parts where I would even say it gets to good. But the difference between Spellblades and that show is, in Spellblades, they spend a whole ton of time genuinely showing why these characters would get along with each other. They all have a single formative moment as to how they all meet that makes sense, and it's like nobody is like ass pulling their way into the story. They all are the first people to jump out to help when a bad thing happens. They are then shown growing together and learning about each other in a very like systematic way. Like, you literally see when they all learn each other's names, when they all talk about where they're from and what they're into and how that, that works together. They help each other through problems. They make mistakes together. They do all the things that you need to do for you to, like, in episode 10, understand why they would make a particular, and why they would make particular commitments to each other or be so emotionally open. And not just to them, they start having relations with other characters outside of the main story.
Yeah.
And it all feeds into itself in a way that feels a lot more organic. In the other show, it was like, okay, episode 3, you go to Ninja High School and you're going to get to know this person and this person. And then by like the end of one episode, he has this little friend group, but there's no real reason why they would be working together or like each other or want to hang out like teenagers really would. It's not there. They just sort of hand wave it in. So I think Spellblades, ironically, does a lot of the heavy lifting that other much better and well-produced series just don't do. And I want to end sort of that sort of thought with there is an episode I want to talk about. I believe it's episode 7. I'm gonna have to spoil some very minor things, but they're not relevant to like the broader plot. So we meet a character named Pete in the very beginning. This character is presented as the bookworm who comes from like a really poor background.
Supporting cast, like not.
Yeah, and he gets into the he's part of the friend group, but he's presented as the normie who got in through hard work studying, but isn't very good at any of the practical stuff. So in those types of stories, that character kind of has one trajectory, right?
Yes.
It's the power of hard work and friendship is gonna get them to overcome their insecurities, and it turns out they're really a genius the whole time, right? That's how it goes.
But he's not the main character.
But he's not the main character. Instead, Pete basically bounces around between the central cast trying to figure out how to compete in this world of geniuses and isn't particularly successful, kind of always on the verge of not making it in whatever the thing is that he's doing. We find out also that like he's having these like weak spells and like his health is not great and you don't know what's going on. I think it's episode 7 where the episode opens with him in bed having a really crazy like wild dream and like sweating and like something is wrong with him. And he wakes up and Pete has breasts. Pete has transformed into a woman. So we spend the first like third or quarter of the episode with Pete struggling with this secret that he is now physically a woman and doesn't want anybody of his friend groups to know. He doesn't want anybody else in the academy to know. It's just something that like this has never happened before. Whatever.
So it's upperclassman trolling. So
you think that that's the direction that it's going. I thought that. I was watching the episode like, okay, so we're going to discover that actually somebody's trying to like mess with him and they turn him into a girl. Ha ha ha, it'll be a gag. No. Pete is, like he's like weak. And then the beginning of like I think the next episode, the main character walks in on because they share a room because they're both in the boys' dormitory, and this time Pete's losing it, like in his sleep, just struggling. Like, and the main character walks up and is like, "Oh, I know what's going on with you." And Pete's like, "What the fuck do you mean?" He's like, "You don't have to be embarrassed. You're a reversey." And in their world, there are mages who are born both male and female,
Like
but we're one, not together. They're like two halves. So you change between halves, and depending on what side you're on, you have basically
different
additional
powers.
Abilities on each side.
Oh.
So Pete, who had struggled with a lot of the practical part of magic, when he was now a she, was able to do things that he couldn't do when he was in the other form. But he didn't know this. He didn't understand this about himself. And they made a point. So the main character knew what this was, understood. He kind of pulls him aside. He's like, "Hey, look, just between the two of us, I know what's going on with you, and it's actually a gift. It's not a curse. It's not a troll. This is an amazing positive development for you, but you probably don't realize that because it's never manifested itself in this way, and you've probably spent your life feeling like you were like in between sexes and androgynous and not really understanding he even brings up you not even understanding your own sexuality. He says this like out loud. Wow. And kind of counsels him through the benefits and what things that he can do, and even helps him with like the magical aspect of like getting his body under control so that he can take advantage of the advantages that come along with being able to tap into this ability. As they are talking, a senior class representative who we've met before actually overheard them the whole time and reveals themselves to the two, saying, "I was going to come in and tell you the same thing that the main character was going to tell you, and I got even better news for you. There's places on campus that are safe spaces just for you." And then the rest of the episode is her introducing Pete to the community at the school of people who have sexual-based abilities. So it's not just like other reversies.
So it's an actual like full-on
yes,
thing.
It's normal.
It wasn't just this one character.
Nope, it's normal. There's lots of them. Some of the characters we've already met are at this like it's like a club. They have like a big like area where they can just be themselves, and they're accepted in the school, and they're Pete is introduced to people who immediately bring him in. They don't lecture him. They don't tell anything else. It's just all positivity. The main character, Noel, literally comes in and says, "I'm just here as a friend to Pete." And they are into it. "Oh, you just want to make sure that he's protected and that he's safe." Basically giving the good ally speech. Like, he went along with his friend to this new place just to be sure that nothing bad would happen. And then it ends with everyone just having a good time. There's a vocal performance by Saitou. And then we find out that Noel's brother is also in that club. It's just casually he's there like playing violin. So they're coding him as a part of this community there's no exposition. There's no coming out moment specifically. It's just he's just there. It's normal. Everybody's normal. Everybody's positive. And the episode ends with them going home and being cool.
I was waiting for you to drop the and then he died, or like someone takes his heart because it's special.
Nope.
Blah blah blah.
Nope.
Okay.
Whole episode.
Okay, well
that's it. That's it.
Was that okay? My next question: was that meant to be a redirect?
I don't know. I mean, it's been a couple episodes and it hasn't necessarily come up. I mean, the next episode, he basically comes out to all of the female and male characters in the friend group. Yeah. And they're just like, "Cool. Do you want to you still want to wear the same clothes when you're in this form or that form? Can we help you?"
Yeah.
And I think other than him now having a new ability, but being very bad at controlling it, playing into a future tournament arc that they're kind of in the midst of right now. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have, I would say you could have taken all that story out and just said, "Oh, he's got a special ability," as make it hard for him to use his magic. And the entire story would continue on with no plausible change. There's nothing about him reversing, sex that makes a difference, except for the fact they say that women sorcerers generally are more powerful because in addition to being able to store mana in the heart, they can also store it in the womb. And so he gets an extra organ when
Ooh.
he transforms as well. It's not just getting boobs. It's like the whole deal. Everything has
But
changed.
that actually makes a shit ton of sense now that you think about that. Like it being an organ, like a vital organ of life for
Yep.
somebody else, not because everyone's heart is vital, but the
Yeah.
womb is vital for a new life. So interesting.
So you see what I mean? Like there's stuff in here that you could imagine it coming off a lot worse. Like just the
I thought you were
concepts.
gonna basically be, yeah, I was
Right, you
expecting
could
the
use
worst.
using it for a gag, a lot worse. Using it for shock value only, a lot worse. Using it to set up a swerve or a reversal, a lot worse. Like even just trivializing it such that the scene itself doesn't. I said you could remove it and it wouldn't change the plot, but you remove it without changing the character dynamics because all the characters have to engage with this idea and just come to a conclusion. And there's no like, I don't like you because you're a reversey. It's not like, a straight up allegory for being trans or being gay or being
Yeah.
anywhere on the queer spectrum. It's just a fact that is accepted in that world, period. So I was like, damn, didn't have to do any of that shit. I would have been totally fine.
And you know what? That actually sounds really progressive as like
Yes,
writing wise. Like,
I was looking at this like there are Western entertainment products that have had an entire council of alphabet folks reviewing and writing the
and
scripts
failing it still.
that feel way more pandering and way more unnaturally woke, for lack of a better term, in a way that's not entertaining or doesn't serve a story
Yeah.
than this.
Because it's trying way too hard.
Right, and it's not integrated in a way that feels natural. It's like there's a message here. Now, obviously, they did spend an entire episode basically on a type of coming out story. So I can't say that it's not like purposeful. It's clearly purposeful. But at the same time, I was so pleasantly surprised at the light touch and the sensibility that went into the construction of that episode. Right? Like this isn't the Walking Dead, not Walking Dead, the Last of Us had a great episode centered around
but you saw how they
queer
lost their
relationship.
fucking mind. Yeah, they lost their minds over that shit in the mirror. Yeah.
Right. And that one was so well written and fit directly into the plot, but it's the type of adaptation where you can add stuff because Last of Us has a story that's sort of just I don't know, like a scaffolding that you can just stick all kinds of things on it if you want to.
Yeah.
And there was already a hook in there because there was a picture. If you ever played the game, Bill.
Oh yeah. I played the first. One.
A lot of people like that, and this goes to my rule about if you're going to replace something, replace it with something that is better. In the game, you only find out that Bill is gay because there's a photograph in his like bunker that if you look at it, it's like it's hidden. And then the Joel character makes a very crass joke when Ellie says she found the picture because like, what did you find? It was like stuck between where the pages stuck together of like the magazine. So it's like played as like a gag kind of, but
yeah.
And that's unfortunate because of how much work went into that character, and like to have that reveal be kind of attached to a bad joke that we would never make in 2023, like that sucked. But when they went back and said, "Oh, we're going to adapt this for TV," they took that moment that was, I think, a black mark on the original story, and they turned it into something big and beautiful. They stuck it in a nice place where it could live and not really touch too much other stuff. Because by the time remember they changed it so that when Ellie and what's his name, Joel get there, Bill's already dead. Whereas in the game, you meet him, he actually helps you through that segment in the.
Oh, I didn't know they changed that in the show. I didn't watch the show.
They basically replaced the point in the story where you come in on the truck and then you get into and Bill doesn't want to let you in.
Yeah,
and then you have to go through like the barn and the garage and like all the part of town to get to his bunker where then he I think he gives Joel directions to where the fireflies are at. They just they ripped that out and they just replaced it with a flashback episode going back to Bill meeting his partner, them falling in love with each other, them meeting Joel and the other woman who died in the second
Yeah.
episode
The
when
one who
they were
was
still like
bringing Ellie
runners.
to him and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's a prequel, so you get to see them like how they know each other and what their relationship was, and then
Yeah.
his partner dies of cancer, and so he then kills him. So he then kills himself because that's the guy who
Oh.
because you know he was a closeted gay man who had never had a relationship with another man. This was the
Yeah.
first gay man he ever was with, fell in love with, had a beautiful story, and then dies tragically. Like, so they basically took a gameplay section out that doesn't do anything, no storytelling, and then replaced it with that writing, which was fantastic. The acting was fantastic, and they just changed so that Joel only gets a note instead of meeting that character. And I think that's better. That was a
Wow. Yeah.
better choice. I don't know what the manga for Seven Spellblades is like, but that scene worked out perfectly. It worked perfectly. So kudos to them for that. Or that episode worked out.
There's so much. I'm getting caught up on everything. That's
Yeah.
just not even non-negotiable because oh man. Oh, that's
And
good.
so
I don't really see a lot of people talking about it,
because
but
it's
I
not a
also,
high budget show. It looks good though. It's a good looking
yeah,
show. It's just
but
not
I
high
also
budget.
don't hear anybody saying anything bad either.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, like
I
something's
mean,
going
it's
on.
so overshadowed this season. I don't think there would even
There's
be
so
a
much shit.
way to get
Yeah,
in because you have One Piece clicking on
so
all
much
cylinders,
shit.
Mushoku Tensei back, Jujutsu Kaisen is owning like the hype space. You have
Yeah,
The Bleach return. Now we're getting like the specials for Attack on Titan specials. This is just the recap summary stuff for the new season. There's like all these things that would just suck up the oxygen and attention, and this is
yeah.
like a B plus production that has some thought behind it. So yeah, I'm not surprised it's not on anybody's like major radar. So I know you're not caught up
Hmm.
on Jujutsu Kaisen, but and you're
No, but
not.
and I don't know how I haven't seen clips. I've been
Stay
blessed.
away.
I've
It's gonna
been
be
blessed.
hard. It's gonna be real hard.
I've been blessed. I have not seen clips, and I am literally just about to like bang it out because I was waiting for Shibuya to start. And then one day, I saw a video about the play on Twitter, and I was like, not me, nigga. Not today. You're not gonna get me. And so I turned it off. So I've avoided everything. I couldn't avoid anything from the Gojo Gaiden. Like I feel like I've seen the important parts of that without even watching the show, but I ain't letting nobody spoil Shibuya for me.
It's
I
so
just want a
interesting.
nice,
There's so much
dedicated night.
discourse around JJK where people are like, oh, the Yuji's a trash main character because they spent so much time not dealing with him at all. Like, especially in the
Oh,
manga, like he's been kind of a side character,
sidelines.
like for a year. Like,
Oh,
like not he's not dead or anything. It's just like his character is not the focus of anything that's going on. He's not peaking the
he's
power
not
charts.
training.
I mean, he's stuff is happening, but you know, it's just focus on other characters right now. That's all I'm gonna say. And so
Wow.
it's just funny that like that's the discourse on the manga side, and then on the anime side, it's about to be I can't believe X. I can't believe they did this. I can't believe this. I can't. That's what we're about
Yeah.
to get. So I'm just it's so funny that the two groups of fans are separated by like 4 years worth of content.
But didn't he say
He
not that the ending's coming soon, but that he's he already knows he's wrapping that shit up.
Yeah, well, at the time, a year and a half ago, he said 2 years he would have it, you know, the series would be ending. It doesn't
Yeah.
look like that's possible because we would then be less than 30 chapters away from the finale, which seems unworkable,
Like what's
but
going on right now.
utterly unworkable.
Okay.
Like just
Okay.
I think the events he's plotted out make a lot of sense, especially with a very important thing that literally happened last week. But anyone who thought that like maybe they were in the stage for like the final. No, no.
I feel like it doesn't even seem like I've seen a fight that people are hype about right now, but then if I ask questions about that, then I definitely feel like I'm gonna get spoiled in a big way. So I'm like, I'm just gonna sit over here on the sidelines.
I'm
I'll
just
just
gonna
be over
hold it
here.
together for at least the Shibuya arc. But I'm telling you, man, manga goes hard. It's worth reading for all those out there who are, on the fence. It is absolutely worth reading. But if you can't stand manga, then just stay off of Twitter and aggressively blacklist words. And it's not gonna. You will get spoiled.
I feel bad about this because I definitely like a lot of like certain like black content creators, but them niggas just do not give you any time at all. Or they don't do the spoiler thing, but also your Twitter is your Twitter and you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. So
You curate it yourself. That's on
you
you.
curate it yourself. So I be muting niggas because I'm just like, damn, nigga, this is like the fifth time you spoiled me. So I wish you the best, but I gotta get the fuck out of here because I want to experience it myself. Um, oh,
So I think that
that's
about
it.
wraps up
We can
the
talk
weekly
about
stuff.
Zom another week because
It's good.
it's great, but I have no idea. I don't even think they know what they're doing. As far as like production wise, it's definitely not going to finish with everything else. It's going to roll over into the
Hell
next season.
no, no. The moment they're like, and we're leaving the city, I was like, oh, bet. There's a God only knows where this is going.
Yeah, news wise, I guess the only thing I really care about, and I know we're gonna do an episode about all this kind of stuff, but Frieden looks so good from the PVs. And they got a Yoasobi. They got Yoasobi, the duo, to do the opening. So you know they're not playing about that shit. And the Eminence of Shadow season 2 trailer. Oh, that nigga on top. I know on top of the train. I was like, wait, he's getting disrespectful with the Shadow Garden girls? Oh, oh,
Here for it.
oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I am so excited. I am very much so excited. But yeah, that's what I care about like right now. I mean, they're announcing other things, and I will say, like generally with all the PVs, I'm liking the PVs from fall way more than I am the previous season.
Mm-hmm.
I know I like screamed like elation about reincarnated as a vending machine, and I watched the first 3 episodes, and I was like, I see this is cute. But also this is just one of those shows that like the source material did well and it got an anime. That's kind of
Fair.
really all I'm really seeing it as. Because anime wise itself, at least for me, I'm kind of just like, do without this. Like it's not really wooing or wowing me in any form or fashion. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have much. The PVs are going to be something crazy.
Oh, oh yes. Oh yeah.
I
There's
already know.
there's some PV. There's like some revenge soap PV. I don't know what it is. I didn't because I saw it on YouTube, but there was no English translation. But it is
Mm.
premiering at the beginning of October, and I was like, whatever the fuck that is, tune me in. Oh, no, wait, it's the Siege of the Seven Cities or like the Seven Nations or some shit. You know what? Let me find it right now. Let me find it right now. We're not gonna do this episode right now, but where is it? That shit looked so. Oh, is this it? Oh, wait. What's gonna call it? Leveling is. Oh no, that's winter 2024. Yo, I thought solo leveling was next season. I was about to
No,
lose
no, no,
it.
no, no.
I was gonna be like, what the fuck is going on? Um, oh, your what's gonna call it? Dead Mount comes back next season. Digimon Death Play. No, no. Oh my god, no, that nigga looked so angry. What is it? No, it's not this one either. The thing is, I know I'm gonna find it. Oh, fuck. That's this season? Okay. Oh, that is too? Oh, okay. Okay. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Katakeo Hitman Reborn's mangaka's returning. Uh I can't find it. I can't find it. I thought it was this upcoming season. Oh shit, maybe I'm wrong. I'll know what it is by next week, you guys. But oh man, it looked really good, and it looked like that nigga was just like out for blood, just just like nonstop. He just wanted blood. Just like I'm getting. It was a revenge story down. There's a lot of returning stuff next season though. Yeah. Okay. Um. Yeah. Is that all for you for news?
I mean, nothing that like specifically stuck out that I thought was relevant.
Yeah. Same. I really feel the Kingdoms of Ruin. That's what it's called. That trailer, that nigga looked like angry. And the vampire show looked really good. Okay. I guess we go to recommendations. My recommendations is Sea of Stars. Um, it's great. I love it just as much as I love Chained Echoes. It's
Great.
great. Um, and yeah, that's about it. Like I'm not gonna recommend Starfield because that just is what it is. It's a game. But Sea of Stars is definitely fun. I like the timing style battle system. I can't even say Chrono Trigger influences because I never played Chrono Trigger. So or wait, Chrono Cross? No, Chrono Trigger, not Chrono Cross. Chrono Trigger. I never
Okay,
played Chrono Trigger.
okay, you didn't play Chrono. Okay, but you did play Chrono Cross.
No, I didn't play either of them.
Oh, okay, that'd
No,
be interesting.
no, I didn't play either of them. So I'm kind of just like, and I know a lot of people like reference them, so I can't say how close they are or anything, but I do know after I beat Sea of Stars, I just need to go fucking play both of them. Because Chrono Trigger, weren't there a lot of problems with that new port that they did?
Yeah, there were some technical issues.
Yeah, but anyway, Chrono Cross is everywhere. I can just get that on Steam and like banging that out. Um, but Sea of Stars, really enjoying it. It's great. Single player, indie studio, support it. Like
Mhm.
support it. We need it if you want to.
Cool. I guess it's sort of a recommendation, but not this maybe a slightly longer conversation. I don't
Mhm.
know.
I do have something else
Go for it. No, you go
for
first.
the BL people.
Oh my God.
And listen, if you do not watch BL, and this is a watch, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, Mignon. Um, if you know what I'm talking about, you know
I
what
don't
I'm
know.
talking about. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, um, this is one of the like most insane, like 0 to 50 um narratives I think a lot of us have got. It's a vampire story. It's a vampire
Okay.
story. Um, and I skipped the story, y'all. I just went straight to that episode that everybody was talking about. Holy shit. This is everything that we were afraid of for Titan's
Wait.
Bride
Oh no.
is here. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. Think of Titan's Bride with the actual like animation,
Woo.
but like done right.
Mm.
Like right. If you search Mignon or whatever, if you search it on TikTok, you're gonna see all the traumatized like Fudanchis and Fujoshis just being like, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. He said he was a virgin. That is not a virgin. What is this? What is that? Blah 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 blah. So if you want something spicy or if you're curious, um, check it out. I think they pulled it down. The episodes were what, like $2 each? I think they were what, 8 or 10 episodes. I supported them. I gave them my coins because when I saw, I was like, y'all need to make some more. This is great.
Oh God.
But yeah, go for it. I can't believe I forgot that. Yeah. Ooh, go check it out. Go check it out. Go check it out. Okay,
I'm
it's
mad
time.
that you led with it's everything that you were worried about with Titan's Bride. And all I could think about with Titan's Bride, when you described it, I was like, but he's this big. And the other guy's like this big.
Yeah, but
That's
that's
what
the
I
thing
was
though.
worried about.
We were worried about those things, but it's not even like you would think about like the veracity of it. It's just like, that big thing dealing with a smaller body and
Yes.
things like that. It's that same fear, but you don't see it coming. So like it literally just like goes into the scene. It's just like whoa, 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 whoa,
uh,
nigga, chill. And
okay.
it just doesn't chill.
Oh, it just
It just
continues.
escalates. And
Oh,
so
it
it
escalates. Well,
escalates. And so that's why I say everything that we were afraid of for that, because we were
okay,
expecting,
okay.
trauma on entry with that. Nah,
I see you. I see you.
this was
Or at
like
least I don't
nice.
see it, but
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why I said for the BL fans or those who are curious, you can go check it out. But yeah, so yeah,
I'm
it's a
not
lot.
mad at
It's a
it.
lot. It's a lot.
As long
I
as
put the
as
warning
long
out
as
there.
the enthusiasts are happy.
Oh, they
Mm,
are. They
good,
are. They
good,
are.
good.
Honestly, oh shit, Shangri-La Frontier is next season.
Oh, that one I am into. I'm into
Oh,
that for
okay. We're gonna
real.
get into that next
I'm
episode.
into that
Okay.
for real.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna close live chart. Let me close this shit. Let me close this shit. Okay.
Right. So I guess following on, we've talked about a lot of very new stuff, but I made a recommendation to somebody completely like unrelated to anything we do on the show to go check out Escaflowne because they had never seen it. They're a little younger, not super young, but they just missed it. Their favorite show, I think, was like Erica 7. Like that's what they
Oh,
liked.
okay. Okay. I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And so I was like, oh, okay. Like if you enjoy that, maybe you didn't realize a lot of the ideas in Erica 7 were fleshed out prior with Escaflowne. Now,
Yeah.
I actually wound up watching the anime in full after I had seen the movie.
Oh,
The story behind that is obviously I grew up when it was mostly VHS tapes, not even DVDs, just
I've
VHS.
seen
And
the
so that
movie. I haven't seen the movie. I've heard of the movie.
so I saw
Yeah.
the first 4 episodes of Escaflowne, but that's all the video store ever had. So that's I had seen that. Then many years later, I think when there was a DVD release of the movie, and I was like, oh, I was thinking maybe it was like just cut together
Compilation.
stuff from the TV show, but since I had never finished it, I was like, oh, okay, that might be a way to get through it. Oh no, Escaflowne movie is a retelling. It's probably a little more manga accurate of the
Yeah.
story from the show. They cut out large parts of the story, but it is a fucking masterpiece. Like
The
some
movie.
of it. Oh yeah. This is known. Like if you want to see, I would say one of the peaks of hand drawn animation, late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Escaflowne movie. The first 10 minutes alone, many people probably have already seen them but didn't realize that's what it was. It's Vaughn infiltrating a Imperial airship and cutting his way through like bad dudes. But like the animation is superb. It's absolutely superb. Like it makes your eyes water how good it is. And the pacing of the film is also a little bit better, obviously, than like sitting through like 24 episodes. Like
Yeah.
or 26, I think. But then I was like, oh, okay, well, I made this recommendation. I mean, I got a lot of free time. So I started rewatching the anime, forgot how good that was, just because in my mind I always think of the film. I'd eventually watched the entire thing like after I saw the movie, but it had been many years. Sat down, lost like 6 hours, and I was like, yo, this shit is ill. And then I went out and rewatched the
Accurate.
movie, and I was like, God damn, that's good. So that is sort of my. It was a recommendation, became a self recommendation. I think I've probably talked about the series or the movie before. Pick your poison. I think it was just a good. Like they don't make them like that. It's one of those things you're watching. And you're like, oh yeah, they don't make these anymore. This
Okay.
is mecha shows in general. The romance angle actually works. It's actually one of the earliest super successful isekais. People forget that it is technically an isekai.
Okay.
Even though you kind of you forget it even watching the show. You're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, right? That is how this all started. She gets transported because okay, all right, that makes sense. So yeah, that was like a fun experiment to go back and revisit that one. I tend to pick on like old series occasionally where I'm like, oh yeah, I had a good time watching it. So That's one. Another that I have not seen it in full, and so therefore I'm not gonna go out and tell everyone run to it. But Gwyn Saga kept coming up as like I was looking for fantasy but not shonen.
Yeah,
And
I don't think I've heard of that before.
so Gwyn Saga was a series of actual novels. They were written in the late 70s and mid 80s. They're Japanese. It's a Japanese author. They got very popular in Japan for obvious reasons. They're pretty well written. And then kind of nothing for a while. And I think in the 2010s, there was a adaptation into anime form. Kind of like how Arslan kind of got a delayed release between like the original like books, and then there's like a really high quality anime that got made. Same thing. Yeah. I would put those two in a very similar category, even though I think correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I'll take my head off. I think the main character we follow is a woman in Gwyn Saga. She's a warrior, I think. Could be wrong. I know there's a guy. I know there's like a guy with like a leopard mask and like other stuff, but like I think the protagonist is female.
Okay.
But I want to take a look at that. So that's kind of on my radar of stuff to watch. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. Alrighty then. Well then, I guess that is it for this week. So new fall season is coming up. So definitely expect that episode to be either next week or the week after that. We may or may not have a guest. We may or may not have a guest. Who knows? We shall see. You might even see a new logo. You might see that. Maybe, maybe not. So follow us on the socials. I haven't really heard anyone mention Blue Sky or anything lately. So we are still on Twitter, anime_savants. And then we're still on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, etc., etc. Also, thank you guys for following us on YouTube. Y'all, it's creeping up, man. Like, we're just like kind of like posting the episodes in like a few shorts and things like that. But I mean, we are behind on that. But people are showing up. Like, it went from like 220 something earlier this summer, and it's like 280. It's almost 300 now. So it's creeping up there, and they redid the the partner stuff. So we only have to reach 500, and then we have like community tabs where we can really go back at it. So yeah, subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already either.
Yeah, come on, do it. You know you want to. You can hit me up on Twitter at Neural Handshake. For now. It's always for now.
Yeah, I don't know.
But no, I guess that's it. So peace out, y'all.
Bye.